This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
ये है भारत FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, welcome and adab. You are listening to Bharat FM, a one-of-its-kind, multilingual, eclectic provider of entertainment, information and news to Indian Americans. Headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio, Bharat FM airs shows out of Cincinnati, Chicago and Phoenix. We take pleasure in our ability to cater to your bhakti, chusti, sfurti, shakti and masti needs with our audio and visual shows. Check out bharatfm.com for our online program schedule and archives. I'm sure the content will definitely tickle your senses. Tune in via the 24-hour web streaming on bharatfm.com or via the Bharat FM app. More information can be procured at 513-488-5070.
तो नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल, वड़क्कम, वेलकम. आप सभी को भारत एफएम के इस कार्यक्रम में जिसका के नाम है रूबरू में तहे दिल से स्वागत है और मैं हूं आपका दोस्त और आपका होस्ट आशीष झा. So folks, today the guest that we have, let me first talk a little bit about our guest. 50 years ago, Lakshmi Tummala and her husband Jawahar Tummala came to Flint, Michigan and made it their home ever since. Lakshmi's husband, Jawahar, is an internist and a pediatrician. The Tummalas have two grown children. Their son, Satish, earned a medical degree but chose to go into a successful auto business instead. He is married to Jennifer, who is in the marketing business. Daughter, Sunita, is a busy neurologist and director of the stroke program at McLaren-Flint. She is married to Sachin Khullar, who is also in the auto business. The couple have twin boys. Born and raised in India, Lakshmi holds a bachelor's degree with major in psychology, philosophy, and sociology. Her hobbies include reading, music, and travel. Lakshmi is passionate about volunteering and says her parents were her role models. They would always remind the family that it is a sin to turn away from a person in need, and they lived by their words in helping countless number of poor and underprivileged people. Those words always ring in Lakshmi's ears. She believes that life is never so busy that there is no time to share. She says volunteering is not a choice, but is a responsibility, and that volunteers do not necessarily have the time, but have the heart. With that, let's welcome Lakshmi Tummala from Flint, Michigan. Hello, Lakshmi. Namaskar.
Hello, Ashish. Namaste. Namaste to all the audience.
So first of all, thank you very much for taking your time out and coming on our show, Rubaru, and sharing your life in your own words. So thank you very much for doing that.
It's a privilege to be on your show, Ashish. I've watched many of your shows and it's done very well. And it's an honor and privilege to be here. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you very much, Lakshmi. So let's start from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about where you were born and how was your childhood days. What do you remember?
I was born in a small town in Andhra Pradesh called Gudivada. I spent my early childhood in my father's village for a few years. And at that time, my father was in Gudivada. He was very involved in cultural activities. And he wanted to pursue a career in the film industry and moved to Chennai. So we were raised in Chennai. I went to school there until high school. And later my father he was a producer there, very active, produced many Telugu movies and a few Tamil movies as well. But since he came from Andhra Pradesh and Chennai was already a very well-established film industry, he wanted to do something for his own state. So he moved the family to Hyderabad in 1963. And he tried to develop the industry there.
Okay. So initially, as you said, you were born in Andhra Pradesh, but then you moved to Chennai for a few years and then came back to Andhra Pradesh. So tell us a little bit about those childhood days. What differences did you find? Like, I'll be very honest, me being from Bombay, I cannot relate to the South Indian culture as such. But for you, I'm pretty sure that you can differentiate between the Telugu culture and the Tamil culture, and what was your experience when you were moving between two different states where things change a little bit? I mean, in India, usually the culture and tradition and food habits, everything change in a few miles. So, so what do you remember from your childhood days, and what experiences you have had?
Well, when we moved to Chennai, I went to elementary school, and at home we spoke Telugu. With the servants, we spoke Tamil. And at school, I went to an English medium Catholic school. So it was English. And my mother tongue, Telugu, wasn't taught in the school. We were only offered Tamil and Hindi as second languages. So my father advised me to take Hindi because it is widely spoken all over the country. So Hindi was my second language. And for third language, I took French.
Very nice.
Yeah, but not enough to speak though. I could read and write, that's all.
Okay. So you mentioned your father initially was not into movies. At some point, he decided that he wants to get into it. And that's why you moved to Chennai, right?
Yeah. Originally, my father, growing up as a student, he always wanted to become a doctor.
Okay.
So he excelled in his schooling, and he graduated from college, with a gold medal. He stood university first, and he got admission into medical school. But unfortunately, my grandfather was very ill at the time.
Oh.
And because they were living in a village, he had to take his father to Chennai for medical treatment. So that was put on hold. So after my grandfather got cured and went back to village, my father went into bachelor of arts.
Okay.
And then, so I mean, he already did, I'm sorry. But he was very much interested in cultural activities. Even during college days, he used to help organize shows. And even after he graduated from college, when they were living in Gudivada, by the way, he went to Noble College in Machilipatnam, known as Cambridge of South India. So in Gudivada, he organized cultural shows as well, and even got a chance to meet Prithviraj Kapoor at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think his showbiz bug bit him then.
I see. Okay. That is when it bit him. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So slowly he moved to Chennai, and he started his production company, Annapurna Pictures, named after his stepmother. They lost their mother at a very young age. They hardly knew her. So my grandfather married again because he had 3 sons to raise. Everybody advised him to marry again. And my step-grandmother never had children, and she brought these 3 sons. My father was the middle of them. She raised them as her own. So my father was so loving and grateful of her. He thought he should name the company after his mother.
That is so nice. That is so nice. Now, tell me one thing. Getting into movies and doing a production is not usually very easy. So how did he plan out the whole thing? I mean, how did he keep going? I mean, I'm pretty sure there were some challenges. If he ever talked to you about that, if you can share that.
Those days, the movie makers were so busy. Even the actors and actresses, they spent endless hours at their work at the studios or outdoor shooting. So they didn't speak about their work when they came home.
Okay.
Yeah. But my father was he was completely involved in his work. He was one producer who was involved in every area of the production. Starting from the script, the dialogues, the songs. He even had inputs in the songs, and even costume selection and location, everything. He was a passionate, producer.
Okay. So growing up, any one incidents related to his movie making, which you still remember and you would like to share?
Pardon me?
Yeah. When you're growing up, and
yes.
if you remember even like one incidence of your memory about his filmmaking, or meeting somebody, a celebrity in that case, I would say, that is still etched in your memory and you would like to share?
Celebrity, I mean, we grew up in the movie industry, so, celebrities were all around us. But, on our street lived, the legendary Savitri, if you know her. So she acted in many of my father's movies. The legendary director T. Prakash Rao, who even made Hindi movies. And Prasad Art Pictures, they made Hindi, Telugu movies. And Naviga Films, the distribution company, everyone was many of them were on our street. And even at school, we had celebrity children from the Tamil Nadu industry. So, we grew up with, celebrity families. But my father always discouraged us from mingling with movie people because he felt that maybe, politicians and showbiz people had high profile and everything they say and did was looked under a microscope, and he maintained a low profile, and he always said, we are behind screen people, we are not on screen people, so never draw attention to us. Every little thing we do is seen, they scrutinize everything, so you have to be on your guard. So that stuck in our mind.
So growing up as a kid, what kind of kid you were? Like a very naughty kid or very studious, more into sports? What was Lakshmi Tummala like when she was growing up as a kid? And what kind of dreams you had when you were growing up? If you could share that.
My growing up, I was an average kid, average student. I enjoyed reading, so I enjoyed reading more, storybooks than my school books. But I managed to get fairly good grades.
Okay.
My father my mother never asked us to put in all our time in our school work. They thought we should enjoy everything. But like I told you, my father, my father was quite strict. He never allowed us to go and go to other, we stayed home most of the time, and the girls on our street, mostly they came to our house instead of me going. I would go to their homes often, but it was mostly in my home that we all played together. And I enjoyed, I'm somehow, I was fascinated by my teachers. I always wanted to become a teacher when I grew up.
Okay.
So we used to play teacher and students games. And we used to rotate. And I really enjoyed me playing a teacher.
Right. So teacher was something that you were looking forward to as a career at that point. You dreamt of becoming a teacher?
I thought I would. My father, like I told you, my father's dream was to become a doctor, and he never realized that dream.
Right.
But his dream was realized through my generation and his grandchildren. We are 13 doctors. We have 13 doctors in our family.
Wow.
And my father was very pleased when my daughter, she wanted to become a lawyer, but then she changed her mind. She went to University of Michigan, Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
And then she changed her mind. And one day she called and she said, Amma, I would like to become a doctor. Would you be disappointed? I said, no, but why? You wanted to become a lawyer? She said, I found out that there's a lot of discrimination between, for female lawyers. All the good cases, they would feel that the female lawyers are not competent enough. So they would go mostly to the males. So anyway, I don't know what made her change her mind, but she decided, and she didn't have any science background in college. So I said, see, 3 years, you didn't have any science background. So what are you going to do? Are you going to start from the beginning? She said, send me to India. I said,
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I said, going to India is not a joke. You have to be there for at least 4.5 years.
Exactly.
And if all the exams were conducted on time. She said, don't worry, Amma, you send me and I'll be back in 4.5 years. And
wow.
She did.
Very nice. That is very encouraging and inspiring for sure. So in your case, when you completed your school, was it after you completed your school, you moved back to Andhra Pradesh, or was it pretty late during those years? Like, where did you do your college is what basically my question is.
We moved to Hyderabad when I was in high school.
Oh,
So
okay, okay.
I had my high schooling at St. George's Girls Grammar School. It was Indian school certificate that I passed, and
Okay.
then went on to Osmania Women's College, University
Okay.
College for Women. That's
Okay.
where I did my triple major.
Oh, okay. So,
Yes,
so the triple major that you did, which was psychology, sociology, and was it physiology? Philosophy.
philosophy.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So how did you decide on doing that? Was this something that you were always passionate about, or it's just like I need to get my graduate degree, so let me go ahead and do this? What was your decision making thought process at that point?
See, I have two older sisters who got married very young, and then I felt that I have to pursue my college education. And then I always admired my parents. My mother didn't have much of an education, those days in that generation, living in that village. She was the youngest of all the children, and she was pampered, and she got married and raised us. But
Hmm.
my father chose the same combination, Ashish, believe it or not. Yeah, and I don't know why I felt that I have to do that too. And
Oh,
psychology always intrigued me. I thought, it's very interesting. Even when I travel, if I have to wait in the airports for my connection, I never get bored. I watch people, the other passengers, their mannerisms, the way I mean, everything intrigues me. I
right.
feel that
So
each person is so fascinating and different.
right. So let me ask you something. I have been talking to you for a few months now, in fact, more than a year maybe. And every time I talk to you, I have realized that you are highly influenced by your father. Like even now, I see that you talk more about him. Is he your role model? I mean, people have different role models, and parents by default are one of them. But tell me the relationship that you and your father had, because I feel this is my feeling based on what I have been talking with you so far, that you were very highly influenced by or inspired, I should not use the word influence, inspired by your father than anybody else. Is that true?
It is. It is 110% true. Um,
Okay.
my father, he always was very creative, and he always wanted to do something different, something challenging. He thought that it doesn't hurt. You may succeed. At least you had ventured. So and even in his movies, he always tried to introduce new things. He would shoot songs outdoors in other states when it was cheaper to have them done in the studio instead.
Right.
But he always tried new things. He introduced new singers. He introduced a Maharashtrian singer. He introduced many writers, lyricists, actors. So he thought that you have to take a challenge, and that is what was inspiring to me.
Okay. Okay. So now that you have completed your college, you have a degree, what was next on your mind? What did you plan? If you did
Well,
plan anything.
well, I I couldn't plan much because I got married while I was still in college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I just completed my studies and came to the US.
Oh, okay. You completed your studies and you came to the US. Now, that must be, I mean, at least I feel that that must be a difficult part for you. The reason being, in those days, the Indian community, the percentage of Indian community that you have now was not the case at that point in time, right? So,
Yes.
so how were you basically trying to adjust to this completely new country with new culture, new tradition? How were you doing that? How was that working for you? I mean, was it easy, difficult? Like, what were you going through when you initially came here?
Well, I was feeling very homesick because most of my life in India was spent in a large city in Chennai and Hyderabad. So our friends, I mean, our relatives came during summer to spend time with us during children's holidays. And also, if there was a wedding, they would come to shop because we were in a larger city, there would be better selection and all that.
Mm.
And for medical treatment too. So I was used to mingling with all communities in my
Okay.
school and my high school in Chennai. It was basically mostly Tamilians who were my classmates.
Okay.
But in Hyderabad, we were only 15 students in our class. And out of them, 9 were Muslims, 4 were Hindus, and 2 were Christians. But we
Very.
never looked at them that they came from different communities. We were like one big family. And we are used to, accepting anything, So when I came to Flint, it was so difficult for me because within 6 months of, I was feeling very homesick, and Jawahar thought that it would be very difficult for me to spend the rest of my time during his training in a small town. So he applied for residency in New York, where my brother was living.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, actually, before he came to US, he asked me where I would like to live because he said work is work for me. Once I enter the hospital, it doesn't matter which hospital I'm at. I'll be busy training. So his older brother, was a professor at Michigan State University at the time.
Okay.
So I said either close to your brother or to my brother.
Okay.
And then I thought New York is a very big city,
Of
and
course.
raising children would be a little bit difficult. So maybe it's better to come to Michigan.
Okay.
So he applied to Flint and, to the hospital in Flint. And that's how we ended up in Flint.
Okay.
But then within 6 months of us staying in Flint, Jawahar thought that I was too homesick. So he decided to move to New York. So we couldn't afford air travel those days because he was only paid $6,500 a year. Of course, we were given accommodation.
Right.
And Jawahar and I never wanted to tell our family that we were tight for money. They would always try to help. But we always wanted to be independent of that. So we were driving to New York and we met with an accident.
Oh.
And our car got totaled. So we had to rent a car and reach New York. So after we returned, we didn't have car. This happened in January, and until May, we didn't have a car.
Wow.
Because by the time he reached home, all the dealerships were closed by 5 o'clock, and he would walk home from the hospital. So we didn't have a chance to go to the dealer and order a new car.
Wow. Okay.
And one of his friends visited once from Columbus, Ohio, and he took him to the dealership and we ordered the car.
Wow. Those are the struggling days initially when you come in. Yeah,
very difficult it was. And even during those days, I had an appendectomy too.
Oh my
God.
Okay.
We took a ride from a co-resident and we put my son in the waiting room with another resident. Wow. So we did struggle, but we know how difficult it is, for people. Yeah. But these days it's so easy, Also, we lived off campus. Although the hospital provided accommodation, all the apartments were completely occupied. So they rented another small building with 2 floors. 2 apartments on the main floor and 2 on the second floor. But all the 3 other couples worked in the hospital. So I was the only one alone at home.
I was about to ask you that Jawahar was busy with his hospital. What was going on in your mind at that point in time? How did you keep yourself busy? What did you think of doing at that point?
Well, I always loved music. Both my parents loved music and we are 5 siblings, everybody. And now we have the 4th generation who loves music. So I brought, you won't believe, we were allowed 2 suitcases, when we were coming from India. So almost half of my second suitcase was full of cassette tapes.
That's and records. Wow.
Yeah. So, and Jawahar bought me a record player. So I used to listen to the music and I enjoyed the music programs on TV.
Okay. So now my next question is related to that. The reason we got connected because of your passion about a lot of people in the industry, but mainly Shankar Jaikishan. What is the story behind your what should I don't even know what word I can use. Passion is one of the word, but the craziness that I have seen about you talking about Shankar Jaikishan or their music or anything related to Shankar Jaikishan, it's just out of the world. Why is it to that level? What is the story behind it?
Like I told you, our family, are all music lovers. So even in growing up in Chennai, we used to listen to Voice of America or Radio Ceylon, And I basically liked all the music of golden era. I felt that every composer had his own style and they were all extremely talented, but my most favorite was Shankar Jaikishan. And
Okay.
yeah, and I actually got on Facebook because of my volunteer organization. We were encouraged to join Facebook and share what we did in the community. So
Mhm.
that's how I got on Facebook. And
Okay.
somehow suddenly I stumbled onto one of the Shankar Jaikishan groups.
Okay.
Yeah, I was added to the membership and I used to post songs and write a few words about it. And
Okay.
then I was made admin. So
Okay.
that, of course, that I like the job. It's a nice way to spend my time. And
Okay.
then after some time, I saw the membership grow by leaps and bounds. There were days when we added more than 100 members.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and quite a few were regular and active,
Okay.
Then I got this idea of doing something, in the community. So uh, I shared this idea with my co-admins. I said, we are enjoying this music every day without spending a penny. So
Mm.
why don't we do something in the community and start an organization
Mm.
and do something for the community? And some of the admins were very receptive and they encouraged me. And
Okay.
because we need to name the organization something, we thought, okay, we'll name it after Shankar Jaikishan. Of course, we can't use all the names in the golden era, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how
Okay.
it started.
So, what exactly does your organization do at this point, other than managing the Facebook account that you have?
Well, the organization is called Shankar Jaikishan Fans Association International because we have members from other countries also.
As well. Mhm.
Yeah, and we focus on doing something in the community. We have been supporting Vishwadruk Foundation. It trains blind singers and musicians,
Oh,
and they
very.
help. Yeah, and they help put on shows. When we started the organization, they had already put on over 900 shows.
Oh, wow.
The
Okay.
entire show is done by blind singers and musicians.
Very
And
nice. Okay.
yeah, so we thought we should support training of the not
Of
much.
those
I mean,
singers. Mm.
when we first started, we couldn't do much, but we were supporting a little bit.
Mm.
And then we found out about the Sfuti Foundation. This foundation takes in poor and destitute children, orphans from
Okay.
the streets, and they house them,
Mhm.
feed and clothe them, and also educate them.
Mm.
And they support them until these children can support themselves in the mainstream.
Okay.
We were doing a little bit there also.
Mm.
And then we tied up with the Lions Club of Hyderabad. And we were helping with providing free cataract surgeries
Oh, very
for
nice.
poor and underprivileged. And
Okay.
also provide free prescription glasses for those who are in need of them at the Lions Club's cost.
Right. So I was going to come to your social service related career that you have had so far. But before that, I would like to know is other than Shankar Jaikishan, you also have a very good network with people like the kids and from the legends of the golden era, like all big names that you can think of. You are connected to their kids, and some of them we have had on Bharat FM for beautiful shows. How and why you have kept that, and how has that been working with you to be connected with all the legends, sons and daughters? What is the story behind that?
The story is, when for my father's centenary birth anniversary, he had already passed on. I always felt, every child feels proud of their
Of
parent.
course. Mhm.
And I felt very proud of my parent and I wanted to express it.
Mm.
And I could never express to anybody because my father never allowed us to talk about ourselves, nor about him. He would say, my movie making is my profession. It's my
Mhm.
breadwinner.
Mm.
That's it. So it's no more than that.
Mm.
And he shunned publicity. Even when he came to New York to visit us in the US, the New York Telugu Association wanted to felicitate him, but
Okay.
he excused himself. He said, I don't feel comfortable because whatever I did is for my own sake, and I don't think this is appropriate.
Okay.
To be felicitated for what I did for my breadwinning.
Yeah.
Anyway, then I thought, there are so many other children of celebrities who might want to share their feelings for their parent.
Right.
Then recently, actually last year, I started Legends of the Golden Era on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And, some of the celebrity children have become members, and every week we focus on one celebrity, and we encourage the family to
Okay.
share their thoughts or whatever they would like to about their parent.
That's a very wonderful thought and a very wonderful cause, because we, at least at Bharat FM, we have been fortunate enough to hear their stories, their interaction with their parents when they were in the industry, and all the different behind the scenes stories, if I may say, which you might not get in any magazine or any article out there somewhere. We have been fortunate enough for them to be able to come and share with us on our platform. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for doing that.
Yeah, I feel that whatever a layperson knows is what they read from the magazines or from the internet. Then, but here you get the facts from the family.
Directly from the family, right?
Yes.
Now tell me one thing. Once you were in Flint, you have kids and you got busy with your kids, raising the family and everything. But once kids go to the college, you are back to that same situation where now you don't know how to spend time. And I believe that is where you must have thought about doing something for the community. I mean, I'm pretty sure you were doing that even before that, but maybe you got more involved after your kids left for college. Tell us a little bit about your journey after your kids went to college.
Like I told you, my dream was to become a teacher,
Right.
but I never became one. But the school needed volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So I volunteered my time as a coach. The school had a program called Bucket Brigade. What they did was they took slow learners out of the classroom and then tried to coach them to help them improve their grades.
Oh, okay.
So I volunteered my time there because at that time we couldn't afford a second car. I told you we lost the first car in an accident. So we bought the first car, but then Jawahar needed that car.
Right. Good work.
So fortunately for us, the elementary school that my children attended was within walking distance. So we had to walk to the school and help them.
Right.
I started there, and when we got the second car, I volunteered in the library also because I enjoyed reading and I could spend time with the books also.
Right. So this was when your kids were growing up, right? You involved yourself with the school. But once they went to college, then you were back to that situation where you wanted to spend some more time, other than listening to music, of course. So I just wanted to understand your journey of getting involved with the community and how one thing led to another. If you can tell us a little bit about that story, if you don't mind.
Healthcare and education is very close to my heart. I always felt that if you can help an underprivileged person with education, especially in India, there are so many, families had 3 or 4 children to raise. Poor people couldn't afford good education for the children. So I thought it would be nice if we could help them with scholarships, And that's how I got involved with the International Development Fund for Higher Education that was founded in India. And my husband and I, we contributed to help these scholarships. And here I thought that since my husband is a physician, You are aware of American Medical Association.
Yeah. Mhm.
So the spouses of the Medical Association so organization is called Alliance. This is
Oh,
the
okay.
volunteer arm of the American Medical Association. And
Okay.
we have state and county chapters.
Nice. Okay.
So we live in Genesee County, and I got involved. Before I was just a paid member. The membership dues would go to support some projects in the community.
Okay.
While raising my kids, my focus was on my children, and then of course I volunteered in their school. But after they went to high school and then on to college, I got active on the board and served in different capacities and ended up becoming the county president. And later I became the state president.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
So what responsibilities you have in that position?
In that position, I said, we are the volunteer arm of the medical society. So we, in our Genesee County, we focus mainly on 3 projects. One is doctors and their families make a difference. We feel that we are privileged and we could make a difference in other people's lives. So we help the locals women's shelter. We collect clothing, toiletries, diapers, storybooks. These children flee their abusive relationship from an abusive relationship with just a shirt on their back and minor children. So they escape to the shelter. So throughout the year, we collect things for them and we donate to them.
Okay.
And another is Reach Out and Read is another major program that we support. We provide reading material to schools.
Okay.
To help, if a student's reading skills are good, then it's very likely that the student will graduate,
Yes. Mhm.
go on to college. So we distribute books to all the elementary schools.
Right. Okay. So other than this organization that you are part of, where you are heading the state, you're a state representative of that organization, Alliance. How did this cultivate in you? Where is this coming from? Is there somebody, like, was your father or somebody other than your father who was doing something similar which inspired you or always made you think of doing something for needy? What is the story behind that?
Both my parents were very generous, Ashish. They were very kind-hearted and they always went out of the way to help people. I remember when my mother had cataract surgery when we were growing up in Chennai. Excuse me. She had a cataract surgery and there was a neighbor living next door, and that lady also needed one later on. But unfortunately, her husband was at a camp out of state, and her children were too young to be with her in the hospital. So my mother volunteered. She didn't know the lady much, but still she felt that she needed somebody to, be with her. So she would go and spend the entire day there. So I thought, I asked her, why are you going? And, don't they have any family? She said they have, but they don't have somebody who could be with her. And I have the time, I should, how can I say? I mean, I think the lady was very worried about how her surgery would go and what kind of care she would have.
Right.
So my mother said, how can I not go when she needs me? Then I asked her, did she ask you? So she said, she didn't ask, but I know she needs me. And there are times when, anybody who came to our house, if they needed something, she would just open the cupboard and give cash or saris, even new saris that she hadn't worn, she would give, because so that the other woman, the person who couldn't afford to buy new things for the daughter's wedding, so and then she would ask my older sisters also, why don't you bring some of your clothes and give to them? And these are not people that we knew very well, but she knew through servants or somebody that they needed help. That was my mother.
Okay. So it was within the family that you got inspired. It was basically your parents you got inspired.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even my father, excuse me, we didn't know that he helped all these students, over years. The only way we knew about it is we would receive a postcard in the mail. He would say thank. They would write in Telugu or in English, "Thank you so much for your help. Now we graduated from school or whatever, So
Oh,
this
that is how you came to know that your father was helping them. Otherwise, he would never even discuss.
he would never discuss, Ashish. And this was going on quite, it was off and on. We used to get those postcards.
Wow.
And we felt very happy that he was doing this.
Mm.
And, when we first asked him, he said, "Is there any need to tell?"
Wow. That is,
And he helped so many people over time. And even when he passed away, of course, he was a famous producer. So the ticker on all the Telugu channels announced his death. So some of the students who had received help from him, they all called us, and they were so touched by what he did to them. They wanted to know if there's a memorial, and they were going to attend it.
Wow. No wonder you are so much inspired by your father. I mean, a wonderful personality, no doubt about it.
Yeah, even the college he attended at Machilipatnam, at one point they were at the verge of closing because of very low enrollment. So the principal, I think, my father was in regular touch with them, so he informed about this. And my father, he rallied some of the people in the industry, and he organized a fundraiser. And that kept their doors open, and they were very grateful. And as soon as they found out about my father's death, the principal and they contacted us, and they said they were in the process of constructing a block on their campus, and they wanted to name it after my father.
That is very nice. Okay. So when did this happen, if I may ask? Because I know that you were very, very close to your father. How did that affect you when you came to know about him?
Came to know about what?
About his death.
I was visiting. I mean, I in all these 50 years, I went to India at least 70 times. Because I had to be with my family and my friends. So the previous time, the time before he passed, I was in India, and then he was. He was aging, and my brother had already moved to India. He was a pulmonologist practicing in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had 3 sons, and after the third son graduated, he said, "My responsibility towards my children is over. Now I have to take care of my father," because my mother had already passed.
Oh, okay.
He moved back to Hyderabad, and every day I used to stay in my father's home. My father refused to live with his children. My 2 sisters and brother were in Hyderabad.
Okay.
So he would live in his own home, and I would stay with him and visit the rest of the family during the day. So my brother would come every day, and then I asked my brother, because I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, we celebrated my daughter's wedding in India because it's difficult to bring all the relatives here.
Yeah,
The visa problems and all that. So we thought, it's nothing like having the extended family attend the wedding.
Of course.
So we had the wedding there, and we had a reception here in Michigan for friends and family who couldn't come there.
Right.
So while my daughter's reception was planned, my father took very ill, and he was in the ICU, excuse me, for 5 weeks. So very serious. Then Sunita, my daughter, said, "Amma, you go and see Tatgaru." I mean, that's the grandfather.
Grandfather.
You have to go with, this is only a reception, but if if something happens to him, you want to see him at least one more time while he's alive. Then, after the reception, I took off and spent 2 months with him.
Okay.
That's when I asked my brother, what is his condition? Because he's been in the ICU for so long, and he's almost in his late 80s. He said, actually his general health is better than yours and mine. Okay. He said the only way his end will come is if he has pneumonia. Elderly's, its survival rate is very low. Or if he falls, then also, seniors don't recover easily from a fall.
From a fall, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I said, okay. Then my brother lived within walking distance from my father.
Okay.
So every day he used to come and spend time with him. So I returned home. And within a month, he developed pneumonia.
Oh,
So I remembered my brother's words.
boy.
So I went back.
Mm.
And the day I went back, he went into coma.
Oh, he
I
went
got to
into
see him. He saw me and he recognized.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's how it happened.
Yeah, that must have been really tough being so close to your father, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. It's always difficult to lose a family member,
Yeah, of
especially
course.
a
No
parent.
doubt about it. No doubt
Yes.
about it. Now, tell me, Lakshmi, usually people look back to their life, and sometimes it happens that you think about something. I wish that was different. I wish that could have happened a little different. Things might have been different. Is there anything like that in your life that you remember where you felt that maybe that either that should have happened or that should not have happened? Something that you could go back and change. Is there anything like that?
The only thing I could think of is if I had known that we would have lived this long in the US, I would have taken up a job.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because when we
Your
first
initial
came,
plans were not to stay here for that long.
no.
Okay.
Jawahar just wanted to be trained here, further training,
Uh,
because back home in India, when we first came to the US, females were obstetricians and gynecologists, and
okay.
males were general physicians. They would take care of the family, the entire family. So Jawahar always liked children a lot, and he
Mm,
thought he should become a pediatrician,
mm,
specialize in children's medicine. And
okay.
so he first trained in pediatrics, and then he thought, those days there were political problems in Andhra Pradesh for bifurcation of the state,
Right.
separate Telangana.
Telangana and Andhra.
Agitations were going on.
Right.
So then he thought, this is not a good time to go back. So why don't I train in internal medicine also? Then he asked me, Lakshmi, because he already started practicing pediatrics.
Okay. Right.
So
Right.
he said, and I think he casually mentioned to the program director, if someone offers me a residency in internal medicine, I would do it. But the problem is I'm in practice. I can't close my practice altogether.
Right.
So the program director, I believe, said that if you can find somebody to share the time, then you
You
both
can.
can do the residency.
Okay.
So, and he mentioned it to his colleague, and the lady wanted to share time with him.
Okay.
So when the program director knew about it, he's put the contact in his mailbox at the hospital. So
Okay.
part-time he was a pediatrician, and the rest of the time he was a resident in internal medicine.
Okay.
And then he told me, Lakshmi, before he decided, he said, our income will go less by half because, I'll be a resident.
Yeah. Right.
And there won't be any, by the way, there won't be any vacation. So I said, okay, no problem,
Yeah.
But I have to thank my parents, Ashish. I'm deviating from the topic.
That's okay.
My parents were very adjustable, very flexible. And that's how they raised us,
To be flexible. Right.
We never wanted to inconvenience anybody in any way.
That is true.
Just
Yeah.
because, life is temporary, why cause
Yes.
any problems to anybody?
It is.
At
Yeah.
the end of the day, you don't want people to think, oh my God, she left. Or they just say, oh, poor thing. You
Yeah. Right. Right.
don't want to cause any problem to anybody. Anyway.
Talking about life is temporary. I mean, there is nothing else that you can compare with right now. What is going on with the pandemic? It's been more than 2 years now, almost 2 years actually. What has your experience been? What have your thoughts been during these tough times? If you would like to share anything about that.
I don't think the pandemic did anything different to my thinking, because I thought that I shouldn't take my life too seriously, that, I have to achieve this, I have to do this, I have to do that. I always thought it would be nice if I can do something. But I would feel that that's not, if it didn't work out the way I wished, I would take it easy. I would think this is not the end of the world. Let us find some other way to do it or something else to do.
Right, right. Now, that's a very good thought process, because I also feel the same way, that you have to live in the moment. That is more critical. Be happy, be peaceful. That should be the only thing that should be in your mind at any point in time.
Exactly. Because yesterday is done. You can't undo your past.
You cannot change
Tomorrow is, we don't know if there's a tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
And today is present.
Yeah.
So I always live in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I have the same thought process as well. Now, anything that you have, I mean, we just mentioned that we cannot predict future because it's unknown. But still, as a human being, there are certain things in your mind which you always feel like, if I get a chance, I would do that. I would wish to complete that dream that I have, given a chance. Does something like that come into your mind? And if it does, what is it, if you would like to share?
Yeah, now I'll have to go back to your previous question. You asked me, did I feel that I should have done that or be?
Yeah.
So, because we had plans of going back, I never pursued a career here.
Right.
I was raising the kids, and every summer, summers in India begin early. So friends and relatives used to come to visit us, see the country or visit us, So we were always busy, always had company, if we were home, even now, weekends are always spent with friends or family.
Right.
I couldn't go to University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, which provided more of the courses that I was interested in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The one regret is that if I had known that I would have lived for so many years here. And by the way, the University of Michigan Flint campus added on more courses later.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I would have taken something, had some skills in taking up a job. That is one wish that wasn't fulfilled, drawing a paycheck. So when I mentioned, when I mentioned to Jawahar a couple of times, he said, "Well, why don't you come and work in the office? I'll pay you.
I'll give you that check."
Yes. If I had taken up a job, I would have been able to give more to
the family and to the community.
More, not to the family, because we were always a contented family. That's how we were raised. Okay. But to give back to the community, because we have what's called the India Scholarship Fund here in Flint.
Oh.
We started that when India celebrated 50 years of independence, and I serve as the chairperson for that fund. Okay. We set it up with the community foundation, and the interest earned from the fund helps support scholarships at the University of Flint campus students. Okay.
Now, you mentioned that you always wanted to get some degree so that you can work basically over here, right? I have realized that in this country, in the US, I have seen people going and studying even at an age where you would be surprised seeing somebody, a 60 plus, sitting in your class. But I have seen that. I mean, I know that this country lets you do that.
Yes.
Did that thought process ever come to your mind that I can still do it?
I don't think so, because what I found out was, I believe these days, especially since the pandemic, people are not hiring elderly people.
Yeah.
They would feel that elderly people are not as productive as the younger,
Well, maybe you can start something on your own and then maybe draw a paycheck for yourself. You are capable of doing that. That I can definitely say, based on your profile. You are definitely capable of doing that. So think about it, is what I would say.
My only wish, Ashish, is that my health will allow me to continue whatever I'm doing now.
Well, yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So I'm already a senior, so we don't know how many years I have left, but I would like to be able to support healthcare and education as much as possible.
Okay.
So through my alliance work, my alliance helps healthcare advocacy. Right. And through India Scholarship Fund, we try to raise funds for that. And back home in India, we've been helping scholarships for
Very nice.
the needy. And in my father-in-law's village, we helped fund a primary healthcare clinic for the underprivileged. So hopefully we will be able to do more.
That is all good luck and best wishes to you, Lakshmi. Now we are almost coming to the end of our show. Anything that you think I might have missed and you would like to share before we formally end the show?
I can't think of anything because I think I spoke more about myself than I really wanted.
This was about you, so you have to speak about yourself. Yeah.
Well, if this program could inspire other people to think about what they can do in their community, like I said, volunteerism is not a choice; it's a responsibility. Not everybody has the money to, donate to needy.
Right.
But they have the time.
Time, yeah.
And if you
And
think
the physical ability as well.
People say we are busy, we don't have time, but I don't think it's an excuse.
Yeah,
Valid
I mean,
excuse. If
that
it's
is absolutely
important, you
correct.
make time.
Yeah.
If it's important, you make time.
No, you're absolutely correct, because I tell even my kids, I say that never come with an excuse saying that I don't have time. It is all about priorities. You have 24 hours in a day, and sleep, including sleep, is one of the priority.
Yes.
You can define exactly how you want to divide that 24 hours into multiple priorities that you have. So not having time can never be an excuse.
I feel that we are here only for a temporary period.
That's
and
true.
Before we go leave this world, we should leave it as a try to do whatever we can to make it a better place.
Better place. Yeah, I would completely agree. Thank you very much, Lakshmi. I mean, there's a lot that we came to know about you today. And thank you very much for sharing your story and all the different experiences and incidences that you have had in your life. Kudos to you, to your family, for always being there, not just for the family, but for the community as well. It's a great cause. It's a great thinking that everybody in your family has. And I always wish good luck and best wishes for you and your family. And you just continue the way you guys have done so far. You continue with your thought process and with your ability to help the community, changing the minds of people who are in need and who basically want to lead a better life. So thank you very much, Lakshmi, once again. And with this, we come to the end of our show. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ashish, for giving me time to share my thoughts. And, I really admired your way of interviewing. I didn't think I would talk so much. I've never talked so much about myself. But anyway,
thank you.
And I wish you well. I wish you and your family well.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lakshmi. I will see you again. Thanks.
Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, welcome and adab. You are listening to Bharat FM, a one-of-its-kind, multilingual, eclectic provider of entertainment, information and news to Indian Americans. Headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio, Bharat FM airs shows out of Cincinnati, Chicago and Phoenix. We take pleasure in our ability to cater to your bhakti, chusti, sphurti, shakti and masti needs with our audio and visual shows. Check out bharatfm.com for our online program schedule and archives. I'm sure the content will definitely tickle your senses. Tune in via the 24-hour web streaming on bharatfm.com or via the Bharat FM app. More information can be procured at 513-488-5070.
This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत, झूमेगा भारत.
ये है भारत FM.
बजेगा भारत, झूमेगा भारत.